Right, can you all see my screen? All right, you've all been muted, so I believe the answer is yes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, professors in the house, the doctors, once again, you are highly welcome. And I want to begin uh, by saying that what I'm about to say will actually make most of us uncomfortable. Um, AI has actually come to stay. It is not a phase at all, and it is not a threat. It is actually the new reality. Now, note that every sector, such as the medicine, the law, the finance, the engineering, and others, have actually embraced AI and have moved on with it. But the educational sector is still arguing about whether to let it in or not, while our students have already gone through the window. All right? Now, let me be very, very clear here. The AI that is flooding our timeline and then generating adverts and writing social media captions and content for marketing, that is not the AI we are talking about today. Academic use of AI is completely different, is a complete different conversation. The way those in and the way those who are in the social media, who are making content and making adverts and all that use AI is totally different from the way we in the academics are designed to actually use AI. Now, AI in the academics requires depth, it requires critical thinking, it requires integrity. And that is precisely why we cannot leave students to learn the use of AI from the internet. We have to teach them how to use this AI ethically, and we cannot teach what we don't know. You cannot give what you don't have. So you yourself, I myself must actually understand how to make use of this AI ethically. We must teach them how to use it responsibly, ethically, and in a way that does not cost them their intellect or their voice. And before I go further, I want to add this here. You should note that there are a lot of AI tools, 101. I'm sure you have seen them. A lot of AI tools. In fact, at some point, you get confused which of the AI tool to actually use. But I want to let you know that we do not yet have an AI tool that is fully reliable for academic research. There are AI tools very, very powerful, very, very good for other things. But when it comes to academic research, we are yet to have an AI tool that is reliable. I'm sure you understand what I'm sure you understand the meaning of reliable when they say something is reliable. So we do not yet have an AI tool that is fully reliable for academic research. Not because AI is actually dishonest, but because AI is actually designed to always give you an answer. AI cannot come out and tell you there is no answer. It must always give you an answer, whether or not it has sufficient data to back that answer up. And when it comes, and when it lacks the depth of verified academic knowledge, it it fills the gap, and sometimes the information that sounds credible but simple is not accurate. So when AI goes in to search for information, even when there are no information, instead of it to come out blank, it has to fill up that gap, it has to fill up that blank space and come out with information that are not actually reliable or never existed, but yet the information could be so fluent, could be so nice, and could be so powerful. So, uh, um, and I want to be very fair to the technology, which is AI. AI does not on purpose hallucinate. AI is not designed to actually hallucinate or to deceive us. It is not designed so. It's just that, as I've said, there is no AI tool yet designed for academic research. Now, the truth is that in the 21st century, illiteracy is no longer just about the inability to read and write. It has gone far beyond that. The new illiteracy is the person who cannot navigate technology. So please, our professors in the house, our doctors in the house, it's time for us to buckle up. We have to speed up. Things are moving. We also have to move. Okay, we have to be technologically inclined. And if we, the educators, the ones who, the ones entrusted to prepare this generation, if we refuse to adapt, if we are not protecting education, then we are failing it. That is why we are here today, to actually learn how to ethically use AI so we could teach the next generation. As I have said, AI has come to stay. So the earlier we accept it, the better for us. I hope we're together, even though you have all been muted. If you could just maybe an emoji to show that we're together, I would really appreciate that. Or on the chat box. All right. So I believe you can all see my slide. You can all see my slide. Ethical AI use in research and writing. What every academic must know to protect their career in the age of artificial intelligence. And you could see some percentages there where we have 74% researchers using AI. So currently, 75% of our researchers are actually using AI tool. So if you're not yet using AI tool, you are really, really, really far behind. You are in the dark age. You are in the dark age. As I've said, stop arguing about the usage of AI. You just have to embrace it. It is as if you arguing that you shouldn't use a plane to travel to a different country. You should possibly keep using the donkey as it was used before. No, technology has come and we also have to move together with technology. All right. Excuse me. So as I've said, 74 percent 74% of our researchers around the world are now using artificial intelligence tools in their work. They are not experimenting, they are not considering, but they are actually using AI right now in their research and writing. And yet, just about 10% of our universities have a formal, enforceable policy about how their staffs and students should use this tool. So this gap is really, really, excuse me. This gap is really, really the reality of AI use, and the absence of clear rules is exactly where careers are being damaged. So for today, uh, for today, how do I take this? Okay, for today's agenda, a structured learning journey where we are going. We'll be looking at the foundations of ethical AI and drawing the line. That's the acceptable versus unacceptable AI use with clear examples, global policy landscape, for career ending risks, the shield framework, responsible AI workflow, and what's coming next. All right. The next thing on our slide is moving. All right. So the next thing on our slide is our learning objective. The next thing on our slide is the learning objective. Every serious learning experience begins with a very, very clear objective. So I want you to know exactly what you'll be able to do by the end of today, not just what you will have learned, but what you will be able to do. All right. So by the end of this section, I believe you should be able to define ethical AI uses across the three pillars, which is the honesty, originality, and fairness, and distinguish between the acceptable AI assistance from academic misconduct with confidence, and navigate global policy standards from UNESCO and other leading publishers, and then apply the SHIELD framework as a daily integrity decision tool before every AI assisted submission, execute a responsible AI research workflow, and then identify prompt engineering as your next skill frontier and understand why it is now a critical academic demand. So now the question is, what is ethical? What ethical AI really means? What is actually ethical? What is actually the use of what is actually ethical AI? What is actually ethical AI? And I say that ethical AI has to do with being honest, being original, and being fair with the tool you are using. It has to do with being honest, being original, and being fair with the tool you are using. Okay, so we will talk about the three pillars of the ethical AI use. And the first one is the honesty. Honesty actually means being truthful about where your work comes from and what role AI played in producing it. Think of it this way. If you went into a laboratory, maybe your work is an experimental work, and you go into a laboratory and a researcher actually assisted you halfway your experiment, wrote up the results or drafted some sections of your paper. When submitting this work, will you be comfortable to just submit that work without acknowledging the contribution of that research assistant? I'm sure the answer is no. If you do that without acknowledging the research assistant who contributed halfway into your research, it means you are being dishonest. So in the same vein, if AI drafted your abstract, structured your literature review, or generated your conclusions, you are required to say so. You are required to say so. We'll talk about that later, very in depth. You are required to say so, not because you did something wrong, but because honesty is the foundation of trust in scholarship. You too. All right. So now looking at this example, this was a real scenario that happened. A researcher at a UK university submitted a journal article that was about 2 years ago, where ChatGPT had written approximately 40% of the discussion section. Fortunate for her, she disclosed this in her methodology. She disclosed that ChatGPT actually assisted her in doing the discussion of the findings. The journal accepted the paper. Yes. So her transparency protected her. Another colleague also used AI and submitted to that same journal, but did not acknowledge it. And his paper was declined. His paper was flagged. So, and then he faced a misconduct investigation. Now, note that they both used same tool, but then they got different outcome. It all lied in their honesty. So when you're using AI, you should be ready to be honest when asked. If the policy guiding you requires that you should specify that you use AI, you should be very honest to say that yes, you use AI. There is nothing shameful about saying you use AI. It is as if using calculator to help you do some arithmetics, and then you are being asked if you use the calculator, and then you say no. That is not fair enough. So there is nothing wrong in being honest that AI assisted you. The next one is then the originality. The next one is the originality. Originality is perhaps the most misunderstood pillar and the most dangerous to ignore. It is the most dangerous to ignore or to neglect. Your work must reflect your thinking. This is your work. You called it your work. So we need to see you in the work. We need to hear your voice in the work. So your work must reflect your own thinking and analysis. Sure, AI can help you articulate ideas, but the ideas must come from you. Let it be your idea. Even if it's later, even if it is AI idea, see how you can infuse yourself into that idea. See how you can consume it and you can articulate it so well. But uh, never relinquish your thinking to AI. You be the thinker. You should know that a polished, fluent, and well structured AI output is not original scholarship. AI can actually help you write a very polished, fluent, and well structured article. But if your voice is not inside, if we cannot hear your voice, if we cannot see you in that article, then it is not a scholarship. That is not scholarly at all. Let me say this with particular clarity to our PhD candidates or PhD students or master students and early career researchers in the room. Originality is not just an ethical requirement, it's beyond that. It is the currency of your career. Originality is the currency of your career, the currency of your promotion, your grant, your reputation. Imagine being a PhD holder and you are asked to even describe the statement of your problem and you don't know anything about it. You have just done yourself a serious harm. So originality is beyond even the AI stuff. That is the currency of your career, of your promotion, of your grant, of your reputation. The moment you stop generating those thoughts yourself, you begin to lose the very thing your career depends on. The career depends on your thinking. Your career depends on your thinking. So the moment you stop generating the thinking yourself, you allow AI to do the thinking for you, to do the writing for you, to do the structuring for you, then you are beginning to lose yourself. So the question to ask is, are these are these my ideas or are they AI ideas that I am presenting as mine? Now, another real world example that happened, a real scenario. A PhD student at South Africa University was asked during her visa to elaborate on a particular concept, a very beautiful concept. It was actually ChatGPT that helped her generate those concepts and all that. It was so beautiful that the panels were interested in it, and then they asked her to actually explain it for her to school them, and she could not. That was how she was stepped down. Yes, she was stepped down, and her visa was adjourned for 6 months. So the ideas were fluent, but it was not her own. They were beautiful ideas, but they were not our own. So we have to actually ensure that whatever AI is doing for us, the thinking should come from us. Okay? As I will say, it is not time will come where it will no longer be, did you use AI? We are getting to the point where it will no longer be, did you use AI? It will now be, did you think through it? Did you think through it? Because whether you like it or not, we will all begin to use AI, even those resisting it. We will all begin to use AI. I remember when the television came out, and then people began to say, no, 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 don't use television. Television is the devil's box and all of that. But today in our various houses, we all have television. So that's how AI has come to stay. So it will no longer be, did you use AI? But the question will be, is it your thinking? And that will lead to the way we assess students. Assessment must change. Okay, we must go beyond paper and biro assessment. Yes, it has to change. We have to upgrade, we have to upskill. Right, sorry for the break. So we have to upskill and come up with modalities on how we can actually assess our students. The next one is the fairness. This is a very serious now. And I will spend little time here. Fairness is one of the most important and the least discussed when we talk about the ethical use of AI. Now, let me describe two researchers. Let's say researcher A is based at a well-funded university in one of these Western Europe. And then her institution pays for premium subscriptions to Cloud, ChatGPT, Grammarly, Quillbot, StillWriter, Perplexity, and Grok. Name them. Okay, her institution pays for all of those AI research tools. And then she's also giving access to those tools. Okay. Now, she writes an article or writes a thesis or the citation, and then she produces a very clean literature review in just few days. And then her output is very polished, is faster and more comprehensive. And then we now have a researcher B, who is based at a university in sub-Saharan Africa. And then his or her institution cannot afford premium AI subscription. He uses the free version with limited capabilities. He does not even have the same access to AI powered database. He is working harder, producing less, and competing for the same journal, the same grant, and the same academic position. Now, is that fair? That is not fair. That is not fair. So, this is the current reality of global academics, and it raises a critical question for every one of us. Now, you should know that UNESCO has been direct and has been very, very deliberate about this matter. Yes, about the issue of fairness and then the non-discrimination and equity. UNESCO has said that all of these things should be non-negotiable principles in the global AI ethics. Now, for those of us who are in parts of this country, you will agree with me that the cost of subscription is very, very high. Now, for cloud maximum, for 1 month, if you are to subscribe, you're talking about 130,000 naira to subscribe for 1 month. And assuming you are a lecturer, maybe a graduate assistant, how much is your salary? And how much will you use for subscription? How much will you use for publications? How much will you use to settle domestic needs, expenses? So you could see that it is not fair to us in this part of the country. Now, last week, exactly 1 week today, a professor called me that she's trying to subscribe for one of the AI tools. She has used her dollar account, it's not working. She had tried using her Nigerian account, it's not working, and she was frustrated. And I had to let her know that yes, to some extent, we in this part of the country, we are being restricted with some of these AI tools. Yes, and that is not fair. And that is not fair at all for us. So UNESCO has been very, very direct, intentional, and deliberate about this matter, the issue of discrimination, equity. They are saying that it is a non-negotiable principle, okay, in the global AI ethics framework. They are not they are central requirements for those of us who are, for those of you, okay, who are professors, research supervisors, institutional leaders in this room today. The issue lands squarely on your decks. When you set assessment criteria, when you evaluate grant applications, when you review journal submissions, are you accounting for the unequal access to AI tools? Yes. Are you really accounting for the unequal access to AI tools? You don't expect Mr. A, who is, excuse me, Mr. A, who is intellectually sound, and then that Mr. A is also giving access to premium AI tools. And Mr. B too, who is also very, very intellectual sound, but is not having access to this premium AI tools. You don't expect them to operate at the same level. Sure, Mr. A will outshine him, So when you are reviewing journals, you should also pay attention to some of these things, so you don't place us on the same pedestal, because they have superior uh, advantage over us. Okay, so as you review your journals uh, and submissions, you should make sure you account for the unequal access to AI tools. We must advocate within our institutions for more equitability, for access to AI. Our professors in the house, and our doctors, and our supervisors, our institutional leaders, please, we have to advocate for our institutions to begin to subscribe for these AI tools, so that our lecturers and even our students can have access to them. But our institutions will not do that until they come to agree that AI has actually come to stay and AI has come for our good. All right, so we move to the next one. So, as I've said, using AI in your research is like using a calculator in a mathematics exam. The tool is not the problem. The problem is claiming you did the thinking when the machine did it for you. And I've said, very, very soon, we'll begin to move from the era of did you use AI? You know, some of our professors are so obsessed with this AI of a thing, and once they hear that you use AI, they become very, very angry. So, but we're gradually coming to the point whereby they just have to accept that we used AI. So it will no longer be, did you use AI? It will be, is it your work? Can we see you in that work? Can we hear your voice in that work? Did you think? So it will no longer be, did you use calculator to do the mathematics? No. Outside the calculator, can you explain what you have done? Can you explain the reasons or the procedures, the stages to where you have arrived? All right. So I have said these are the three pillars: the honesty, originality, and fairness. Hold them in your mind as we move into the practical section, where we will draw the line between the acceptable use and then the misconduct of AI. So the next on our slide here, I hope you can all see my slide. Please, you should, the chat box is open if you can. The chat box is open. Okay, they are saying yes, yes, yes. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Are you gaining value at all? If you are, please, you can write that in the chat box. All right, so thank you. So now we are talking about the acceptable use and acceptable and unacceptable use of AI. This slide is actually where the rubber meets the road. It is a direct comparison. Acceptable use on one side and then unacceptable use on the other hand. I'm going to take you through each one after the other. Now, the acceptable versus unacceptable AI use. One, generating a first draft, then substantially review with your own analysis and voice. Underline the word substantially. Substantially. So AI can actually generate for you. That's fine. But after generating, substantially review it. Go through it. Don't be so lazy. AI has done the lifting for you. Just give it 1 or 2 hours of your time. I'm telling you, if you just put in 1 or 2 hours of your time, you'll be amazed at what you come up with. So don't be lazy. Just go through it. You can do a skim reading. Remove what you need to remove, add up what you need to add. So if you substantially review, if you substantially review with your own analysis and your own voice, it is acceptable. So you can use AI as your starting point. It is legitimate. You can use AI as your starting point. As I usually tell some of our students in our previous series, as scattered as your ideas are, you can bring them before AI. And AI can actually help you fine tune them. But note that it is your idea, even though it was your idea. So what we're interested in is that it should be your idea. It should be your voice. We want to see you, your paper. Okay. So the next is Unacceptable. Submit AI generated text word for word with minimal revision and no disclosure. It's even very embarrassing. I remembered last 2 months, a doctor asked me to help him review some students' work. I think about 10, uh, 10 dissertations going for proposal. And he needed it the following day, and he gave me today. I was, God, how do I do this? Because 10 papers to review today and then submit it tomorrow. But luckily for me, when I went through the work, it was so easy. Why? Because as soon as you open through the page, every page you open, you are just seeing garbage in, garbage out. You're just seeing AI content. Wow. You could just see that this was a work poorly done. The students in question, their voices were not there. In fact, let me just leave that. Maybe as we proceed, I will talk more on that. So what I'm saying is that submit AI generated text word for word with minimal revision and no disclosure is unacceptable. And it's even a slap on your face. Okay, and then AI as a starting point is legitimate. I've said that. A blank page is the enemy of thinking. So don't leave it blank and say you don't know what to do. You don't. Those scattered ideas, just give it to AI. They can help you bring something out of it. So you no longer operate on a blank page. Okay, so a blank page is the enemy of thinking. If AI helps you to get something on a page that you then substantially rework, add your own analysis to, and transform with your own voice, that is acceptable use. The key word there I have said is substantially. If you change a few words, it is not your work. If you rewrote the whole thing in your own voice and your own thinking, then it is acceptable. We want to see you in your work. So the next one is use AI to map literature, then read original sources and write your own synthesis. It is actually acceptable. AI is excellent at helping you identify relevant bodies of work. But here is but AI can actually hallucinate very, very well. AI can actually hallucinate. It can actually generate a very, very plausible sounding summaries of papers, plausible resounding papers. But those papers, when you search them on the internet, you will not find them. Okay, the paper have never existed, neither has the author ever existed. So you must read the original source. Your literature review must be we want to see you there. You have to read it through. So use AI to map literature, yes. Then read original source and write your own synthesis, yes. Unacceptable. Copy AI generated summaries into your literature review without verifying sources. It is wrong. There are cases that possibly you're talking about assessment in a statement in your work and you cited Okonko 2026. And when we now go through your reference, we will now still find, yes, Okonko 2026. But what Okonko 2026 is talking based on your citation, based on your reference here, is maybe something that has to do with food and nutrition. But in your citation there, he was talking about assessment. So, as I've said, AI does not hallucinate on papers. No, it is not designed to actually fool you. It is designed in such a way that it cannot tell you there is nothing. So, it must always fill in that blank space. So, it will now search all through the database and see what it can get for you. So it can just bring you anything. As I've said, the way others use AI is not the way we in the academics can use AI. And there is no AI tool yet so designed for research. We don't have that yet. That is why you have to work together with the AI. We need to see you in the AI. You need to understand what you are doing. So the issue of AI is coming, AI will make you dull. No, AI will only make the smart researchers more smarter. And it will only make those who are not smart, it will only review their ignorance. That's just it. But if you're very smart, I am telling you, you will be amazed at how you can work with AI. So AI will make smart researchers smarter, and AI will make uh, the low thinkers, so how do I categorize them, researchers, or the lazy researchers, it will actually reveal their ignorance. Okay, so I hope you're gaining value. Please, if you are, please you write that in the chat box. Uh, all right, so the next one is improve grammar and clarity after writing your own context. Yes, AI can help you improve grammar, punctuations, and all of that. Allow AI to construct your core argument and conclusion in place of your reasoning. No, you shouldn't do that. Okay, so using AI to improve your language, your grammar, your sentence, your structure, your clarity is entirely acceptable. Many academic institutions actively encourages this, especially for non-native English speakers. Okay, so it is fine for you to use AI to do that. Now, to declare AI use clearly in methodology of acknowledgement as required. Yes, so you have to declare that you actually made use of AI in your methodology or your acknowledgement. But as I always say, please, if you are not asked to disclose it, just hold your peace. You must not disclose it. But when you are asked to disclose, please gladly disclose it. Gladly disclose it. But ensure that, as I have always said, let us see your voice in your work. Own your work. Yes, AI assisted me, but I know what I am doing. I did the thinking. Okay? AI only had to do the lifting for me. All right. So conceal AI involvement from supervision, institutions, or publishers. No, don't conceal that. Let them know that AI actually made you actually made use of AI. Even them themselves, they also make use of AI. That's just the truth about it. So the as I've said, this one is actually non-negotiable. Every major publisher now requires disclosure. So if where you want to publish it requires that you disclose it, but you don't disclose it in your reference because AI is not an author. Okay, you can only disclose it in your methodology or your acknowledgement, depending on where the publishers requires you to write that. So every serious institution is actually developing policies on that. I know of Nasarawa State, they have a policy around that, and one or two other institutions. Okay, so it is dishonest for you not to disclose where you are asked to disclose. But again, if you are not asked to disclose, please hold your peace so that you don't go and look for trouble. All right, so verify every citations from AI generated reference list manually. Submit AI reference list without confirming sources actually exist is wrong. So you have to verify that AI actually, you have to verify every citation. You have to verify them manually. Yes, you can verify them manually, but that is also a very rigorous work. Assuming for a PhD student, you know you should be talking about the total numbers of your references should be around maybe 250 to 300 references. That should be around 25 to 30 pages. That is a whole lot of work. Begin to verify them one after the other. It can actually be very, very demanding. Okay, but that being said, I will be guiding you maybe in our next class on how you can actually verify them one after the other, but without feeling the pain. Yes, there are ways you can do that without actually feeling the pains. Okay, so ask yourself this question: could I defend every word of this work to my supervisor or examination panel? Can you defend every bit of your work to your supervisor or examination panel when asked? If no, then you have to have a rethink. Okay, so we move to the next slide. We move to the next slide. The next slide is the reality check. We have the two dangerous extremes. Okay, but before that, 74% of researchers globally use AI. This was the survey done 2025. So I want to believe that you are among the 74%. If you are not among the 74%, I tell you, you're doing yourself a serious harm. You have to upscale. You have to you have to ask questions. You have to move with the train. Yes, AI has come to stay. So please ensure that you are among the 74% of people that are already using AI. Okay, and only less than 10% universities have formal AI policies as of 2024. Only just 10% has formal AI policies. So for the professors in our midst and all of that, you should try to see how you could come up with policies on AI, okay? And the policies should be flexible. Please, they should be flexible policies. All right. So 1 in 3 submitted papers contain unverified AI citation. For every 3 papers submitted, you will find 1 paper that has citations that are not verifiable, and you know that is a very, very serious offense in the academic. So please, let's try to do a rigorous work around that. Okay, so okay, I basically there are 2 types of people in the academics when it comes to AI conversation, and both of them are making a mistake. Now we have the blind believers. We have the blind believers. The blind believers view AI as an essentially infallible tool. They view AI as an essentially infallible tool. They see AI as the Messiah. Okay? They trust whatever AI produces without question. Whatever AI gives them, they take it hook, line, and sinker. They mistake fluency for accuracy. Note that AI can be very, very fluent. In fact, if you put a rotten meat in the mouth of AI will garnish that rotten meat and it will look so beautiful, but the taste thereof is nothing but a rotten meat. So these blind believers actually mistake fluency for accuracy, because one thing about AI is that AI is so confident. Even when AI is saying the wrong thing, AI says it with a lot of confidence. AI can be progressing in error, but with a lot of confidence. So you have to be the human loop in between. So they mistake fluency for accuracy because AI writes beautifully, even when it is completely wrong. They outsource their thinking to AI and submit the outputs with little or no verification. You cannot delegate your intellectual responsibility to a machine. Please don't do that. You cannot delegate your intellectual responsibility to a machine. If a student tells me that the paper is accurate because ChatGPT wrote it, they have fundamentally misunderstood both AI and scholarship. Okay, the fact that ChatGPT have written it does not make it accurate. Okay, now something happened some time ago. A researcher submitted a policy brief to a government ministry that contains 3 statistics generated by AI. They were all fabricated. You know, AI can actually fabricate very, very nice statistics. Yes, they were all fabricated. The policy brief was cited in a parliamentary database. The error was only caught months later. The researcher credibility was permanently damaged, not because she used AI, but because she trusted AI without verification. So using AI is not a problem. Please use AI, but please do not trust it without verification. And again, I say, do not mistake fluency for accuracy. AI can be very fluent, but yet not accurate. It can be progressing in error. Okay? So, then the next group of people, so these are the blind believers that just feel that AI is the Messiah, AI can do everything, you don't need to even do anything, you go just run everything for you. No. Okay, for a researcher is a no. For the content creators, it could be a yes. All right. Then we have the doomsday prophets. Now, the doomsday prophets, they are the other extreme. I told you that the first extremes are the blind believers. They just believe that everything AI does is correct, is perfect. Then we now have the doomsday prophets. They are at the other extreme. They are the negative extreme. These ones are the positive extreme. Okay? Now, this group of persons view AI as a threat to scholarship, and they avoid it completely. They tell you that AI is not good, AI will drain your brain, AI is taking our jobs, and all of that. They have this AI bias content. They believe that AI bias content is already shaping the world around them. Whether they engaged with it or not, AI is already moving. So refusing to engage with AI does not protect you from its influence. Whether you engage with AI or you don't engage with it, it will not protect you from its influence. Everywhere you go is AI. So it simply means you have no informed voice in shaping how it is used in your field. That was what my opening statement when I was talking about the fact that our professors have to come on board. You need to see your voice into this AI. You need to advocate for it. But while you're advocating for it, you can come up with policies, flexible policies that can actually guide our students. But you cannot shy away from AI. And what do you want the students to do? They will get into it through the window. Okay? So don't be the doomsday prophet that feels that AI is bad, AI will make students to be dull, and all of that. No, as I've said, AI will only make smart students more smarter. Because when you begin to interact with AI, I don't know if it happens to only me. As I begin to interact with AI, the things I never knew existed, knew are in existence. Before you know, I begin to see them. They begin to pop out and I begin to learn. There is no time I interact with AI and I don't learn more, maybe because of the way I interact with it. Okay? So AI is not taking your job, AI is not taking your intellect, except if you want it to do so. If you give it the space, yes, it will do. But if you take your place, it will not. So don't be the blind believer and don't be the a prophet. Don't be the blind believer that believes that AI is Alpha and Omega, and then the doomsday prophet that believes that AI is a no-no. Now, be the vigilant realist. Be the vigilant realist. These are those that responsibly use AI, not blind trust. They don't just trust everything AI gives them. Neither are they afraid to use AI, but they are deliberate, they are informed, and they are ethical in their engagement with AI. Okay, so the vigilant ones are the ones that actually verify everything AI produces, and then they maintain their intellectual scholarship. They disclose their use of it when need be, and they stay informed as the tools and policies evolve. I am telling you, every second, these AI tools keep evolving every second. Now, for those of you who got that ebook, the first ebook I shared was different from the second ebook I shared, different from the third ebook I shared. It was as if the knowledge kept, like, knowledge is just increasing every day. So you just need to keep yourself informed. You just need to see what, as of last year, what we knew about using for research was ChatGPT, ChatGPT, ChatGPT. But I tell you today, if you are a researcher and you are still using ChatGPT for research, sincerely, you're already at the dark age. Yes, I say this. If you're still using ChatGPT, there are other better AI tools that, even though, as I've said, there is no perfect AI tool for research, but at least there are other good AI tools that when they write research for you, even you, when you are reading it, when your supervisor sees it, he knows that somebody has done a good job here. Okay, so you just have to keep yourself involved and keep yourself informed. Ask questions. Don't feel because you are a doctor, you are a professor, you cannot ask questions. Those students in your class, they know more than you. I'm telling you, when it comes to AI, so be free to interact with them to actually get to learn. So you have to be vigilant. You have to be alert for every little changes to see how you can quickly adapt and keep yourself um, more relevant. Okay. If you're, I hope we're progressing. If you're progressing, let me see that in the chat box. Uh-huh. All right. Okay, yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right. Thank you. Thank you. You're very attentive. You're a good student. All right. So, how do I move this? How do I move this? Okay. So, all right. So, the next one is the global. The next one is Now, the next one is the global policy landscape, what the world's leading bodies require concerning the use of AI. Yes, a lot of bodies are on, all hands are on deck to see how our educational system can be protected, because I know some of the fears with our lecturer is that the coming of AI actually bastardized things and all of that. Some professors or doctors that took them 15 years to get their PhD, and then all of a sudden somebody with the use of AI in 2 or 3 years, you are done, and the work is even more excellent than that professor or doctor who spent 15 years to do his PhD. Yes, I remember my late father, he died at the cost of doing his PhD. He spent about 12 years in University of Jos, back and front, and all of that. And he couldn't achieve that. But you see, with AI and with a good supervisor, and then with a good student too, I believe that will become a story of, of the past. All right. So there are global policies, okay, concerning the use of AI. Okay, so we're going to ground everything we have discussed in the global policy landscape. Now, because this is actually the uncomfortable truth, many academics discover this policy only after they have already violated them. Okay, so thank God for this webinar. You will no longer violate these policies. Now, ignorance of this policy is not accepted as a defense in academic misconduct proceedings. Okay, so you don't say because you don't know, then you'll be you will not be sanctioned. No, you will surely be sanctioned. So ignorance of the law is not an excuse at all. All right. So one of the bodies is the UNESCO. You all know it. All right, this was at 2001. The UNESCO published its recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. It was adopted by all the 194 member states. Okay, this includes the countries your institutions is currently operating in. Now, there are basically four principles that are very, very directly relevant to academic AI use. And the first is the transparency. I've said that before, the transparency. Okay, AI system used in education should be transparent in how they work and what they produce. If you cannot explain what AI did and why the output is reliable, that is a problem. Please be able to explain. As I tell some of my participants, if if it is so fine, the output is so fine, but you still tell AI to explain it to you like a 5-year-old child, you will be shocked how you will so understand the content, and it becomes your own. It becomes your own. You begin to ask it more and more relevant questions, and your voice begins to come in. So if you don't understand, tell it to speak to you like a 4 or a 5-year-old child, but it should not go out of the content. And I assure you, you'll be amazed at what you will get to see. So please be transparent, okay? If you cannot explain what AI had done for you, then it is a problem. And then second, human oversight. The UNESCO framework is clear that humans must remain central to AI assisted process. AI can support decisions. Humans will make the decision. Don't allow AI. Don't be a robot. Don't be a zombie. Please make the decision. Yes, AI can support your decision, but you should make your decision. Okay? You should make your decision. So this applies to your research and all of that. Then the third one is the third one is fairness. I've spoke about that. Okay. This connects directly to our fairness discussion I spoke about the other time. Non-discrimination and equity are non-negotiable. Practices that entrench inequality in who benefits from AI are ethically problematic under this framework, and UNESCO are trying to really work around that to see that we all have access to all of these AI tools, whether you are from the European countries or the sub-Sahara. They are trying to see how AI tools can actually be democratized to everybody. Okay, and then the fourth one is the applicable global, including your institution. Okay, so you are to you should know that this applies globally. It is a recommendation for wealthy nations or elite institutions. It is a standard every researcher is expected to meet. So it is applicable globally, including your institution. So this landscape is an acceptable policy governing all institutions within the 194 member states. Then we have the next one, which is the IE. The IE, the world's largest professional technical organization, has actually published its ethical aligned design framework. 3 points matters most for this organization. One, human well-being is the primary goal of AI design and use. So research that harms human well-being through biased outputs, fabricated data, or compromised integrity violates this principle, and that researchers bear full accountability of AI-assisted output. If AI gives you rubbish and then you take it to your supervisor and then your supervisor say, how? Who gave you this? And then you say it is AI. You're not doing well. You cannot say it is AI. AI is not an author. So you must take full responsibility. You must be accountable for AI-assisted output. On no condition or on no account will you say, it is not me, it is AI. No, you have to take responsibility for every output. That is why you have to give your work an eagle eye. Okay, you cannot blame AI. If the output is wrong, you are responsible. So the third one is transparency in methodology. If AI was used, it must be described in your methodology. That is not optional. If AI was used, you have to say that. If yes, you have to say that. Okay, that's if you're publishing under the IE. And then the next one is the publishers. Okay, the world's three largest academic publishers have now formalized their AI policy. First, they say AI tools cannot be listed as author. You cannot list AI as your author. Full stop. AI is not an author. It's as if you use calculator to do some arithmetic. Then in your reference, you will not say calculator. Or you use SPSS or R to do your analysis. Then in your references, you say SPSS. No, it's not an author. Okay, that is why you must be ready to bear the hit if AI gives you a wrong result. And you should know that garbage in is actually garbage out. We have heard that long before, but now you will see the power of that garbage in and garbage out. The strength of your output is directly proportionate to the strength of your input. That is just the truth. Okay, so second, authors bear complete responsibility for AI assisted content. Even if an AI wrote it, your name on that paper means you are accountable for every word. That is why you make declaration. You say, you have declared that it is your work. So on no condition should you come out and say it is AI. So third, disclose AI use in your method or acknowledgement section. Check the specific requirements. Okay, so you check the specific requirements of your target journal. They actually differ. If your target journal does not require that, don't bother yourself. But if they require this, you have to specify. And then fourth, your institution almost certainly now has its own AI policy. Check it. Do not assume. So if your institution also has some AI policies, please you check and make sure you abide by it. So we're gradually coming to an end. So we have the 4 career ending risks. That's the next thing on our side. On the 4 ethical risks that can end your academic career. The 4 ethical risks that can end your academic career. 1, I really want to be very, very direct with you on this slide. These 4 risks are not theoretical. They are not future possibilities. They are happening right now. Institutions around the world, including institutions like yours and mine, there are implications, there are penalties, there are consequences if you don't use AI ethically. So you have to think of these 4 ethical risks that can end your career when you want to make use of any of the AI tools. 1, AI assisted plagiarism. You know, this issue of plagiarism, it's not today, it has been long before now. Now, presenting AI generated text as yours without disclosure is now classified as plagiarism by most universities and publishers. Plagiarism has always meant presenting someone else's word or idea without attribution. That is theft. That is fraud. Yes. AI text is generated from the words and ideas of millions of human authors. Yes, that's how AI ideas are generated. They go to the database and they pick here, pick there, pick there, and then they bring it to give it to you. So these are humans' ideas. These are authors. These are humans' ideas. These are authors' work, whose work was used to train the model. So a lot of works here and there, where even your work today is being used to train the model, except if you turn it off. But once you don't turn it off, all your charts and everything is being used to train the model. Yes. Okay. That's why most people still rely on ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has really, really been so trained. It has a lot of database because it came before most of these AI tools, like, and it got to us very, very fast. So it has a lot of information, okay, than other tools. But when it comes to structures in terms of research, please, as I've said, don't go with ChatGPT. Yes, there are other better AI tools that can do the work for you. Yes, there are better AI tools that can do the research work for you. There are also good AI tools that can actually run the analysis for you. Very soon, some of these softwares we even use for analysis, I don't know their fate. Yes, because there are AI tools that can actually run the analysis for you, and the result comes out just uh, as you use the software. It comes out the raw form. Like when you see it, you say, "Oh, this one was done using SPSS or R." It comes out raw. You want it to reformat it for you, whatever. So I don't really know the fate of some of those AI tools now. So back to what I was saying, AI assisted plagiarism, you have to state it. There are penalties, and these penalties are severe if you don't disclose it. So if your institutions require that you disclose it, please disclose it, because there are penalties, and these penalties are severe. It can lead to degree revocation. They can actually revoke your degree for you, okay? And then it can also lead to you losing your job and exclusion from academic position. So please, once you use AI, learn to disclose it if there is need for that. Okay, there was a case that happened in Europe. A postgraduate student actually made use of AI. So when she made use of the AI and then she submitted it to the institution, and then the institution had an AI detector, and then it detected it, and then it discovered that it was 62% content by AI. They actually used Turnitin AI detection model, and then they had to actually revoke the certificate. Yes, they had to actually withhold the certificate, and then I think they are still on the matter. You know, other European countries don't take matters like this very, very lightly. But as I've always said, time will come where it will no longer be whether you use AI, whether they are trying to detect AI or not. The matter will now be, can we see you in the work? Can you defend this work? I think we should try to move towards that phase. because the issue of trying to dictate whether it is AI, it will soon, uh, will I say elapse? It will soon elapse. Okay, very soon it will soon elapse. Okay. So the next one is fabricated references. Okay. The single most dangerous area of AI, fabricated references. Okay. The single most dangerous area of AI misuse in academic writing is actually fabricated references. And I need you to understand that AI language model can actually generate citations that look so clean. It has all the information, and only for you to click it, and then you discover that the paper itself never existed, neither does the author exist. So you just it's actually funny. So you just have to. The other day on Facebook, I saw a doctor complaining that he saw himself on the paper and he never wrote the paper. It was funny though, but it's not nice. So AI does not uh, AI actually produce and generates plausible terms. Okay, so it can generate a very plausible looking citation to a non-existing paper in an act to and that is an act of academic fraud. Okay, so you have to actually be sure that the references are not fabricated, because that is a very serious academic misconduct. I remember one of our professor in mathematics, he was talking about how we are not serious any longer, that during his time, because of one fabricated reference, the PhD student was stepped down because of one fabricated reference. Okay, but in our own time, shut up some of those things, but it is well. So, but let's try to see how we can actually do the right thing. Okay. So the next one is the erosion of critical thinking. This is serious. Okay. This risk is different from others because it is not about getting caught. This one is not about getting caught. This is something that happens internally to you. This is something that is not seen at a glance. Okay, for the AI assisted plagiarism, fabricated references, and all that, you could be penalized. But for this erosion of critical thinking, you are doing yourself a serious harm. Yes, this risk is different from others because it is not about getting caught. It is about what you lose. It's about what you lose when you consistently outsource your thinking to AI. When you ask AI to generate your arguments, formulate your conclusions, and structure your analysis, you are gradually losing the ability to do those things yourself. These days, even to type small text messages, we have to go to ChatGPT. We are losing ourselves. This is an erosion of serious critical thinking. This is an erosion of serious critical thinking. So we have to actually protect that very well. The cognitive muscles need to be exercised. You have to keep exercising your cognitive muscles. And what you need for your promotion, what you need for your grants, what you need for for that height you want to get to actually lies in your thinking. So if you keep giving AI your thinking, I think you're losing it. Okay, critical analysis, deep arguments with complexity, intellectual independency, all of those things are your critical thinking. Please do not let it go. Okay, AI can help you think. Yes, AI can actually help you think, but it cannot think for you. AI should not think for you. AI can help you think, but it should not think for you. The moment it starts thinking for you, you're already losing your primary academic asset. Your academic asset is your thinking faculty. Don't let it go. I know of somebody that just he came to my house and he wanted to write one of his papers. I said okay. And he just went to ChatGPT and just gave it a topic and told ChatGPT to write an article on this topic. And I said, wow, is that it? He said, yes, that's how he gets his. I said, no, that is very wrong. So please, you have to do the critical thinking when interacting with AI. You don't just give it and say, write for me. Write for you how? So it means that everything is writing for you is its voice. You don't have anything to contribute. No. So please, so to our professors, our senior researchers in the house, please, this is a very serious issue. If your students are outsourcing research to AI, they are graduating without the thinking skill. Please, our professors, our doctors in the house, if your students are outsourcing their work to AI, they are graduating without the thinking skill, and their position, they are graduating without the thinking skill their position will require. The position they are to go and occupy in the world, in the sectors here and there, it requires that they think. And if they're already outsourcing these things to I wonder what becomes of other sectors. So please, you have a responsibility to identify and to address this. You have a responsibility to identify and to address it. That is why I say it will no longer be, did you use AI? No. Can we see your thinking in this thing? Can we see you? Can we hear your voice? That is the level we gradually get to. But we need professors, we need doctors that will have to look into this matter and write papers and educate people. But if the professors and doctors are also fighting I don't know how far we can go. Okay, so okay, that was okay. And then the next one is the policy violation. I've spoke much about that one. Okay, you find out what your institution current AI guidelines are. Do not assume the policies you read the policies you read 6 months ago might not be relevant today. So just try and find out your the policies governing your institutions or the where you want to publish your paper. Okay, so we're gradually coming to an end. So there are 5 steps to determine whether your AI use is ethical. All of these are more or less like reputation. So find out what your institution actually allows. Be honest about where the thinking is coming from. Consider whether you are prepared to be transparent. Think about what you are gaining and losing. That's about the critical thinking, the erosion. Don't get to your academic menopause when you are still young. Please, you get to a point where you're no longer productive, you no longer think, you're just there like a robot. No. Please guard your thinking very, very well. Okay. And then apply the comfort test. The comfort test is where you just sit down and, okay, if my supervisor was here and see the way I am interacting with ChatGPT, will I be comfortable? Like someone that just carries his work and just give it to ChatGPT and say, oh yeah, ChatGPT, oh yeah, write for me. There are some AI tools that when you tell them to write for you and the numbers of pages, they give you those and the numbers of pages. Even if you want 150 pages, yes, it will give it to you on the free version. So, and then it just produces, you carry to go and submit. No. So apply the comfort test. If your supervisor was there to see how you use AI, will you use AI that way? If the answer is no, then please, you have to check. So we now have gradually coming to an end. Thank you so much for staying through. I really, really appreciate. I hope you're gaining value. If yes, please just type yes. If yes, please type yes. Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. All right. So, thank you. So, the shield framework. The shield framework. Everything we have discussed in this section, the 3 pillars, the acceptable and unacceptable use, the global policy, the 4 risks, the 5 questions, all of it comes together in one particular tool called the shield framework. Actually, this shield framework is an original intellectual contribution of Trinity Intelligence Academic. Yes, I want you to learn it. I want you to memorize it. I want you to use it every single time you sit down to use it. Most of these things are in our ebook, yes, and even more, they're in our ebook. Okay, so the first thing on our shield, a shield is not a weapon of war. Okay, a shield is not a weapon of war. It's a weapon to protect yourself. All right, so each time you want to use ChatGPT, just think about how you can protect your integrity, how you can protect your name. Imagine how beautiful and awesome you are, and you just go and stand before a panel and they just rubbish your work, just because you used AI and you did not use it ethically. You know how ashamed you will be. So please, at all costs, try to protect your name, try to shield your name, try to shield your integrity. Okay. So as I've said, this is our framework. It is our idea. We came up with this framework. called the shield framework. So it's your daily integrity decision tool before you prompt. Before you prompt, shield your integrity. Okay? So please, I want you to write shield in the comment box. So the first one is S, which is scrutinize and check. Before you open an AI tool, check your institutional policy. Yes, check the journal's requirements, know what is permitted and what is not before you begin. Then this applies through scrutiny. Every output, every of your output, please scrutinize it. Never accept anything blindly. Every fact, every citation, every statistics that AI produce must be verified by you against primary source. Scrutinize first. Scrutinize, check. And one of the ways to scrutinize, you can use AI against AI. Possibly ChatGPT wrote it for you. Take it to maybe Gemini. Take it to Gemini and ask Gemini to maybe bring out the flaws in this work. Okay? Take it to maybe another AI, to maybe Cloud. Now, ChatGPT did the right thing. You're subjecting an AI tool to two other AI tools. I think by the end of the day, you should be able to come up with something very, very tangible. So please scrutinize, check, through and through. Okay. The next one is H. Okay. H is the next word, the next alphabet, which is humanize. I've said this over and over again. AI produces generic outputs. It is trained on broad database. AI is trained on broad database. It does not know I've gotten to I have seen cases where I get to read an introduction all through, and the location of the work, let's say it's Lagos. But reading the introduction all through down to the statement of the problem, you don't see any link to the location. You don't see any link to Lagos. Yes, there are wonderful points, but you don't see any link to your location, to your context. So you have to humanize it. We need to see you. We need to see your context inside the work. Please, we need to see your context inside the work. So, as I've said, AI produces generic outputs. It's trained on a broad database. It does not know your specific research context, your local population, or all of that. So your job is to make sure that AI output is genuinely yours. Make sure AI output is genuinely yours by adding your specific context, your local variables, your population, your voice, and all of that. I've seen cases whereby people review literature and all the literatures are from foreign nations. So do you mean that in Nigeria, nobody has written around that area? The database is mostly trained on, these tools are actually done by foreigners. So mostly this database are a foreign database, okay? So they are not really towards this end. So, but you can restructure it, you can prompt it and tell it what you really want. So please humanize it. Let's see your voice inside the work, even if it's small. Let's see you. We want to see you in your work. We want to hear your voice in your work. And then the next thing is the integrity test. Ask this question, as I've said it before: will my supervisor, will a journal editor be comfortable seeing exactly how I use AI in producing the work? Even some of us, we just sit down in our room. AI can do that. Just generate a data set, and then there and there AI analyze it, and there and there you tell them to convert it to an Excel file. You carry the Excel file, you attach it to your appendix to show your supervisor that you have actually gone to a field. It's so perfect, it comes out so clean. So, but check if your supervisor was there to see how you actually did all of these things. Will you be able to will you be comfortable if your supervisor is there to see how you actually run your analysis, or how you got some of those contents in your work? So please run an integrity check. As I've said, protect your integrity, shield your integrity, shield your name. So the next one is expose and disclose. Whenever required and necessary, it is required. Whenever required and necessary, disclose your AI use clearly and specifically. If you are not asked to disclose, please do not disclose. Okay? If you are asked to disclose, please disclose. Okay? And that is where transparency actually comes in. So you have to expose it. And then the next one is look up and authenticate. Every reference AI produces, look it up. Every statistics, find the primary source. So every factual claim, verify it against the original. This step is one of the most often skipped, and it is the one most likely to end your career when skipped. Yes, look up and authenticate. Check through. Are those citations actually referenced? One, those reference, are they actually existing? So you have to look up and actually authenticate that everything there is actually true. Build authentication into your workflow as a non-negotiable step. Every citation, every time. I know of a professor that says if he picks a PhD student, the first thing he checks to know if you're a serious student is that he goes straight to your references. Once your references are so true, you know that this is a very, very rigorous student before he even goes to your abstract to begin to read and then begin to check other parts of the work. So please let us be very, very careful to take out time to look up and actually to authenticate all our references and all the factual claim AI has produced. And then the last but not the least is declare ownership. When you submit your work, you are making a declaration. Your name is on it. You are saying, this is my scholarship. AI may have supported your process, but the intellectual ownership, the idea, the analysis, the conclusion must genuinely be yours. Your work, you must own your work every time you submit it. So the SHIELD framework is not a checklist you complete once and put away. It is a mindset. It is a mindset. It's the question you ask before every prompt. Every submission, every claim you make that is supported by AI output. Please, before you do that, ensure that you try to shield your integrity. And we are gradually coming. Okay, so the next one is the AI equity and the global research conversation. Yes. Okay, we touched fairness in slide 4. This slide takes that conversation a bit further. Now, the AI equity and the global research conversation is that one, democratizing access. Okay, AI has genuine potentials to level the playing field in a global research. Yes, a researcher at a well-funded university who knows how to use AI tools effectively can now access analysis support, language polishing, literature mapping, and all of that. This is very, very exciting. So for those in academics in other parts to try to see how they should offer a real opportunity to produce scholarship that competes on a more even to compete on global standards. So we should try to see how we can democratize access to all of these AI tools. And then the next one is the new inequities emerging. The same technology that democratize in one direction is creating new inequities in another. Now, premium AI tools cost money. I've said that before, but many researchers and institutions cannot afford them. The gap between what a researcher can produce within a premium ChatGPT 4 and what a researcher can produce on the free version is, they are at par. So this creates like a barrier, okay, to the other researcher who is at the disadvantage. So we must try to see how all of these things is actually leveled. And then the next one is the collective responsibility. Okay, every researcher who uses AI ethically, with transparency, with verification, with genuine intellectual ownership, does not just strengthen his own academic career, but also strengthens academic trust globally. So it is our responsibility to see how we can maintain the academic standard and see how research can be very, very sound. So it is our collective responsibility. Okay, so for instance, a misuse of a fabricated citation, an undisclosed AI generated paragraph, an outsourced argument, it weakens the entire system of scholarship that we all depend on. This is not just about your career, it is about the integrity of global knowledge system. Okay, and then the next one is the scholar who strives. Now, the scholar who strives, the researcher who strives leads the next generation of scholarship as those who stay informed, adapt thoughtfully, and keep intellectual ownership central to everything they produce. The question is no longer whether AI will be part of your work. It is already. The question is whether you will engage with it on your terms, ethically, deliberately, and with full intellectual scholarship. Okay, so AI is the most powerful mirror we have ever built. AI is the most powerful tool that has ever been built. So if we don't like what we see, if you don't like what you see on the mirror, you fix the human and not the glass. So let's fix our system. AI is a powerful tool. Let's fix our system. All right. So having said that, having said that, I think we have actually come to the end. Okay, not the end. All right. So before we go, there are 6 things you must remember. Before we go, there are 6 things you must remember. Is that one, um, AI is a tool and not a thinker. Okay, AI is a tool and not a thinker. It's the most powerful AI system on the planet. Now, the most powerful AI system on the planet cannot replace your experts, cannot replace your judgment, cannot replace your understanding, neither can it replace your thinking. So the brain that directs it must always be yours. So please, AI is a tool and not a thinker. Two, you should know that fluency is not equals to accuracy. So fluency is not equals to accuracy. This may be the most important technical point of the entire section. AI writes beautifully, confidently, authoritatively, and it can be completely wrong. The fluency of the output tells you nothing about its accuracy. Always verify before you trust it. And then the next one is disclosure is professional. Okay, so transparency about AI use does not make you look weak or incompetent. No, it makes you look honest and rigorous. It protects your career. It is the mark of a scholar who is confident enough in their own contribution to be straightforward about their tools. Okay, and then the next one is one fake citation can actually end your career, so you have to be very, very careful. And then the fifth one is shield is your daily practice. Scrutinize, humanize, do the integrity test, expose, look up, declare ownership before every prompt, before every submission, and then every time. And then the standard evolve constantly. So please stay in tune. What is acceptable today may be subject to stricter guidelines next year or tomorrow. So staying informed is not optional. It is a professional responsibility. Check your institutional policies, check your target journal policies, and check again next time. Okay, so we'll take one or two questions before I take the conclusions. But you must know that now that you now know how to use AI, now that you know how to use, now that you are knowledgeable about how to use AI ethically, okay, a prompting into the system, a, a prompt that you prompt into the system is actually what makes a big difference. A poorly constructed prompt gives you a generic, often unreliable responses. So a well-constructed prompt, specific, contextual structure gives you research quality output that you can actually work with. Okay, so we'll be having a master class on prompt engineering, how you can actually prompt ethically. Yes, how you can actually prompt ethically. You don't just give AI and say, AI, write for me. No, how you can actually prompt ethically, and then the best tool to use for academic research. Okay, we'll be running that in our master class. You will learn what prompt engineering is and why it has become a listed academic competence. Yes, prompt engineering is another competence, is another skill you have to learn. You have to learn how to prompt very, very well and how to write prompts that produces research quality output and not generic text. And then structuring output specifically for literature reviews, data interpretations, and academic writing. And then other things. And we'll be doing that practically for the space of 3 days. Okay, so the floor is open for questions and answer. And before the questions and answer, please, for previous participants that requested for using AI to run analysis, yes, we'll be doing that, but that will come after this particular training on prompt engineering. So please, the floor is open for question. Let me kindly enable all of you to speak. And do that. Where do I do that?
Everybody can talk now. They can meet.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So please, the floor is open. You can talk. You can ask your questions, make your contributions.
Yes. Good evening. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
I will really appreciate presentations. It's very comprehensive and educative. So actually, we need to have a contact of presenter for further inquiries since he's meeting with the expert in the field. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you very much for the orientation and the lecture. It was so detailed and we really appreciate your input. Please, I would like to ask a question. What if I have writing a paper and I actually adopted abstract from journal papers and I asked AI to rephrase in order to write my empirical review. And at the instance of that, I rephrase it by using paraphraser tool. Is it acceptable?
Yes, it is.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, good evening, madam. Thank you for the. My name is Adesoji, by the way. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My question is around maybe students, when you have subordinate that you give work and they use AI. I know that a particular challenge is when somebody does not have a domain knowledge,
I won't see
it,
you
be,
until when. I
it
know you.
becomes.
It's what I know. It's what I'm sure of.
Please, can I continue? I think somebody.
Please, let's mute ourselves unless unmute. Let's mute ourselves.
Yes. So what's maybe I'm trying. My students they use AI tools and we find out that they've done a lot. Although based on the university ethics and policy, although there's no for most African, we still don't have the clear cut policy still at this individual level. So how best can I deal with that? Because I find that the student that don't have domain knowledge about the subject writing like an expert. So and when you ask them a question, they are unable to answer. So how does somebody deal with that so that you don't score as zero at the end of the day? Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you so much for the question. Now, as lecturers, please, you don't use AI to mark students. Yes. Now, I've seen cases where students submit, right now, most lecturers prefer you give them your work soft copy. Okay. And the reason they do that is because they want to quickly subject it to AI to check the flaws in that work. That is wrong. That is unethical. You have your school handbook or guideline regarding research writing. So you use that is current, that is the current guideline or handbook you have. So that should be what should be used to check vis-a-vis the work of the student, not to subject it to an AI tool to scrutinize the work. You know, when you tell AI to scrutinize the student a work, in fact, if you've tried it before, you begin to wonder, like it will just floor everything down, even the things you are very, very sure of. Okay, so that is one. Please don't use AI to actually test students' work. Use your own what you know about research. Yes, you can ask AI one or two questions for clarity, but don't subject the students' work to AI to check the flaws in the work. If you do that, that is not fair to the students. And if that same is done to you, it is not fair. So you now ask, if the student does not know the content of his work, what should you do? You know, our educational system is not so nice. Yes. Um, we don't give much, but we expect much. Sorry to say that, sir. We don't give much, but we expect much. Most of the students, especially if they are even at undergraduate, even at master's level, they don't really understand the nitty-gritty about research. And we want them to just produce magic overnight. It's not possible. Have you schooled them? This is not about the research you teach them in class. No. Have you taken time to actually guide the student what to do? Have you done your own part? I know it could be very demanding. I understand how, like, it could be very demanding, but then since that is what you're called to do, we should put in more energies to teach these students on what to do. And also, from this little we have learned today, we could also tell them how to use AI ethically. You don't use AI like a content creator, okay? How to use AI ethically, how to actually use AI to source for data for it to give you what you want. So, in an event the student is not able to defend what he has written, what you should do, you are to school the student. Please, your feedback has to be annotated. Your feedback has to be annotated. It has to be feedback and feed forward. Your feedback should not discourage the student from moving forward. No. So you have to give a very, very explicit feedback on what he needs to do and not just to throw the students away. That can be very, very discouraging. I know a number of students that have left their studies because of the kind of feedback they get from the lecturers. No, you're not supposed to do that. So what I'm trying to say is that school the student and then let the student go back and try to understand the concept and respond back. I don't know if that actually makes sense. Hello, sir. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, we are.
All right. All right. So I don't know whether there are further questions. And so
Yes, ma'am.
all right, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Afolabi Akinola.
All right, welcome, sir.
I want to really appreciate you, ma'am, for the wonderful and the way you have dealt with the training decisively. Just like you have
Yes.
said that AI has come to stay. And the problem we are still having, especially in Nigeria, Many academia are still rejecting it. So how do we make it a national policy that people will not be discriminating here again? Thank you very much.
Right. So, all right, this is your question. All right. How to actually make it a national policy is that our professors, in fact, our professors are really frustrating. Sorry if we have professors, okay? Our professors that sit in the hands of affairs, that goes for Senate meetings and make a lot of decisions there, they have to understand that AI is not what they think it is. Okay, so they have to be schooled. And they need to be taught. Yes, they are professors, but they need to be schooled in this aspect. Okay, and then um, it's actually going to be gradual. It's not going to be automatic. Yes, it's going to be gradual, but sooner or later, it's going to we'll all accept it. But it's going to be gradually. But it has to start from with us. It has to start with us because even for some of us who use AI, yes, we use AI. We scrutinize other students who use AI, and we even shame face other people who use AI. You go for defense and you are criticizing. This is AI. Know the supervisor. You take your work to him. He will just put a question mark. AI, AI, AI. And one day I happened to go to his office and I saw that he was on GPT. I said, I thought I thought you were working. So the whole thing falls down to hypocrisy because most of these people are actually using it, but they don't want you to use it. So how this can become a policy that that has to be adapted or adopted is that it has to start with our professors. Yes, and even the doctors in the house, we have to maybe organize some trainings here and there to school people on why AI has come to stay and how to use it ethically. The matter is just how to use it ethically, and that is just it. I don't know if somebody has anything more to say. Please, you're welcome. I don't know it all. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. This is Gani Mustafa.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can I add my voice on that?
Very well, sir.
Oh, okay. So, thank you so much. You've said it all. Just to add one or two things to it. But before then, let me just let me come in through this angle. The AI now, for people that are rejecting it, let's look at it from the case of ATM. You recall those days when ATM come, and our elderly people that time, God forbid, don't let them use rubber to pack my money. They don't want it. So they will still prefer to go to bank and write their manual pay slip, that check, that paper withdrawal. They prefer it. They don't want anything internet banking. But as time goes by, they now discover that the enjoyment from the banking app, from the comfort of your zone, is even more than stressing yourself to the bank. Now, having said that, relate you to this now. People that have suffered, our professors that have done their own thinking, they've written so many, they have attained that. You now say you want to come within one day, finish a paper. Now, how do we nationalize it now? This is very straightforward. It's all begin from each institution because even the institution that we're saying that some people will tell you this is AI generated, this is it. So each institution needs to have their own policy. If they have not started yet, the better time is now. There's no need for you is that you know, okay, what is the acceptability in our AI? So does all our professor can say, okay, this is what we're going to accept in the each of the publishable paper, each of these manuscript, this is it. So if the each institution begin their own, then after every institution have their own, they can now approach Ministry of Education. Begin from there, we begin to nationalize, so that any deviant or any variant from that, now that is when it now become an offense to that. And the one area again I want to add is about the hallucination. The AI now is actually moving ahead of hallucination in real terms, but become now in a strategic way that we need to look beyond. Just these 2 days ago, I was at the defense of one school where one of the PhD proposal work was stepped down. Why? Not because hallucinate completely, but this is technical area I want all of us to even look at now. Before, when you say hallucinate, what comes to people's mind is that it generates references that is not exist for you. By the time you copy that reference and you go to Google, you check, it will tell you cannot be found or GOI misplaced. Do you know? So, but what happened now as a researcher? I don't know. Well, all of us will actually know this, of course. When you are writing paper now in 2026, the question will now be, have you reviewed even the current paper? You cannot be writing paper in 2026 and be citing a paper of 1998. So your research is not current. Of course, we all know that answer is yes. But then what happened in this case? What happened was that because the researcher in question want to make the work to be current. Please, let's pay attention to this so that when you talk about hallucination, the technicality of it actually go beyond the reference that does not exist. I just want us to pick one or two things and add to our knowledge. What happened in this case was that because researcher want to make the work to be current, so therefore he now cited the current paper ranging from 2022 to 2026 or 25 rather. Now the paper reviewer, the first time, the first thing she spotted from the introduction to section 2 and all of that was that actually those papers exist. Do you get it? So, but in the existence of that paper, the paper that was cited written author in 2025, for instance, was actually written in 1998, 1999. So please, when we are doing that also, let's also cross-check that. That's why I will now link this to the question the other person asked. How do you now tell your student? The only advice you can tell your student, haven't answered the national policy and relate to hallucination, is that you advise your student to own their work. So by the time you ask one or two questions and you discover they could not answer, not that you use AI to trace them or to replicate what you've done. The only advice is, okay, this work will be accepted, but go and own the work. Go and know the composition of that. So with this, I hope we were able to take one of two things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doc. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right, more questions, contributions before we call it a day. All right, in the absence of none, I'll be sharing a flyer on the prompt engineering, but that comes with a fee. It's just 5,000 naira only. Okay, I'll be sharing that, and I think we'll be holding the class end of this month or first week of next month. The first 100 people to actually subscribe to it are to pay the sum of 5,000 only. Okay, while late subscribers pay the sum of 8,000 naira. So I encourage you all to try to secure your seats. We're going to now put all of this we have learned practically. Okay, so thank you so much for staying through. I really, really appreciate it. So now that you know where the line is, Use AI with purpose, protect your integrity, own your scholarship. Okay, so before apply the shield framework to every piece of assisted work and work you submit from today. Shield it, think it, and own it. Please shield your integrity, think through the work, and make sure you own the work. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a blessed day.